Welcome everyone to the Blue Day podcast, and for Chelsea fans everywhere, every day is a blue day. I am your host, the man with a face for podcasting, Keith Lawrence, and I am proud to say today that we are top of the league. Say we are top of the league. Hey, hey, we are top of the league. Say we are top of the league. What a week for Chelsea supporters. On to the show, we will be reviewing the recent matches against Leeds and Seville, discussing idiots who tweet, few more rants here and there, and so much more. But to join me on this episode today is, of course, my co-host. He's the Londoner living it large up north. He's Gus Poyet's number one fan. It's Warren. Warren, welcome. Can you smell that in the air, Warren?
Well, there's a bit of a following wind, so I can smell the people behind us, which is obviously the whole of England at the minute. We have played that one extra game. I think it's important to have a little dose of reality. But no, yeah, feeling really, really, really good. There's the smell of future success in the air. It's all coming together.
Yes. Fuck it. Let's just say it. It's the smell of being top of the league, and it's the smell of all the doubters hiding under their bug, dirt-infested rocks.
Yes, very, very much so. It's good. It's a nice bit of vindication for the club. I think it's a nice bit of vindication for Frank and the faith that's been shown in him by the club and real Chelsea fans everywhere. In spite of idiots tweeting things and I've seen some things this week that have just made me laugh so much that I couldn't even comment. But I think it's it's payback for the faith that's been shown and everything to be top, even having played an extra game, more like nearly a third of the way into the season now, a couple of games off being a third of the way through the season, and going really well in the Champions League as well. Obviously won the group. Obviously we're going to get onto that in a minute. But yeah, it's positive, even when not everybody's absolutely brilliant, we find ways to win games, and we're going to talk a bit more about the goals and stuff and how they came about, and how for all of our free-flowing beautiful football it was just a cross and a header, do you know what I mean, for Zuma's goal especially. So but it's all just really, really positive, and I'm not even looking for the positives are just there. It's really obvious to see. I think it's great vindication for Frank and the job that he's done, the fact that we're top of the league after 11 games. And like I said, doing so well in the Champions League as well, and it's all just coming together nicely, isn't it, Keith? I mean,
absolutely.
Let's move straight on to the. Should we start with the Sevilla game? Should we do it in
chronological
order, so to speak?
Yes. You start, Warren.
I am going to start. At the Blue Day podcast, we do try and do things slightly differently sometimes. We don't try and do the same boring thing as everybody else. Obviously, we're going to have to talk about the man that is Olivier Giroud. Obviously, we are going to discuss that, don't worry. But I'd like to start with the man that, other than Giroud, obviously, who I thought was the best player on the pitch that night, who was Emerson at left back, both defensively and going forward, positionally, communication, link-up play. He was absolutely brilliant, and it was a real shock. I thought Emerson might be the weak link that night. I really, really thought he would potentially be our downfall, and it absolutely wasn't. He was absolutely brilliant, and we was brilliant all the way through the team, and we was brilliant for the whole game. We never really lost focus or anything. Like I've mentioned it a lot in my watch-alongs recently, that we're prone to losing a bit of focus and letting teams back into games. I think that was evident for a couple of seconds against Leeds in the first half yesterday, especially, and a few other little moments here and there. But we was just brilliant all round. I mean, what did you make of it, Keith? Obviously, I know you watched it. I did the watch along and stuff, which I really, really enjoyed doing, by the way. People need to get around that. I'm really, really enjoying doing that. But what did you make of it from the starting lineup? Because obviously there was 10 changes.
Well, I mentioned on our last episode that I sort of was looking at it from, shall we rest players? Should we be that concerned with finishing top? Because at the end of the day, last 16, it don't matter who you're going to play against, it is going to be a tough game. So I had sort of my mind on that a little bit, but going into the game, I saw the Seville's lineup, I saw our lineup. I was so confident, I thought, yes, we're going to get 3 points today because our depth in the squad is strong.
Yes, and touche on that exact term, the depth, because we always kind of do it. We've mentioned it here on various of our podcasts that, you know, if Pulisic and Ziyech are injured, then Hudson-Odoi and Werner can play. And, you know, if Jorginho and Kante were injured, Kovacic and Mount can play. And if Silva's injured, and, you know, we always said that we had the immediate cover there. And it seems like Emerson might be, you know, bucking his ideas off and be a really good understudy, so to speak, to Ben Chilwell. But that was the first night that we realised that we can make 10 changes, right, against a team that has won the Europa League 127 times in a row or something, apart from the 2 times that we've won it, and do brilliantly domestically every season, always have top quality players, always bring in young talent and everything. Now, when they make 7 changes to their team, they look a shadow of the fool themselves. We make 10 changes to our team, and we didn't look that different. We really, really didn't. We didn't miss. But I mean, I know that obviously Havertz came back in and Werner came on, and obviously Giroud is one of the most. We could obviously move on very shortly to Giroud and his brilliant goals, perfect hat trick and a penalty, just like but, you know, no Kante and, you know, just so many players rested and just completely changed the team, and it just looked exactly the same. It just shows that every single player, and this is the thing, when you look at a team and you're talking about the effect that a manager has, if you've got 20, 25 players from all over the world and full internationals and genuine world-class talent and some of the brightest futures in the game anywhere in the world in their positions, if every single one of them players is 100% bought and sold by the manager's philosophy, it shows that when you bring people that haven't been in the team looks exactly the same. And you can't be wrong. If you've got all this world-class talent from all around the world, if they all believe that Frank's doing a great job, they can't all be wrong. We couldn't possibly, as non-football people, like non-professional footballers who have been in and around the game since we were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, we can't possibly say that we're right and all of them players are fucking wrong, because they all love the job they're doing. Look at the things that Chris Wilder and Pep Guardiola and Roy Hodgson and the Sevilla manager and all these managers and players, they're all saying what a fantastic job that Frank Lampard's doing. All the players that have come to Chelsea, they're all saying we came here because of Frank. Do you know what I mean? And it's showing the DNA of the club. He's changed the DNA of the club, the DNA of one of the most successful teams over a 15, 16, 17 year period that you've ever seen in football. I mean, I know that Liverpool had their fantastic times and Man United had their fantastic times that went on for like just as long and maybe even won a few more than us, obviously. But this is one of the most successful periods of any English team in the history of the game, and he's changed the DNA of it in 12 months, and he wasn't even allowed to sign anyone for the first year. I mean, what an amazing job he's doing, and that showed in the Sevilla game. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, yes. Tell us about Giroud, Keith. Tell us about the man that is Olivier Giroud at the minute. I mean, we all knew it, but it's almost like he seems to he surprises us with it every single time. I don't know why we're surprised.
I'm slightly warming to him now, because at first he was not a player that I wanted, especially when we signed him in January, and I remember I slightly appreciated his efforts as a footballer at the FA Cup semi-final when he scored that wonderful goal against Southampton. I was there live. It was just an impeccable goal. It was fantastic. So I knew that there was a player there, but I didn't look at it whereby I just thought, no, he's too lanky. I just saw him as he's a better version than Peter Crouch. Yeah. I saw him as a lanky French version of Peter Crouch, but slightly better. That was my take on it. I just thought that he wasn't good enough for what we needed.
Yeah. I think a lot of Chelsea fans felt that way, but he has proved nearly every single time he's played since he signed for us in that January what an important player he is.
The last year or so, and again, he don't need to prove anything to me because I'm just one man, but in the last year he has shown much more in not playing than he has playing.
Yes.
In regards to...
That is a very good point. Yes.
When he's been on the bench.
The ultimate professional.
He's won the World Cup.
The ultimate professional. The
Bearing
ultimate professional.
bearing in mind he's won the World Cup.
Top scorer sorry to cut you off there, Keith, top scorer when we won the Europa League. Scored in nearly every single match in that run. It was unbelievable.
When he has come on the pitch, he has shown desire to win the ball. He has shown desire to be the best player on the pitch. And this season, he's hardly had a sniff.
Constant threat.
Yet, am I right in saying he scored 4 goals, but he's now our top Champions League goal scorer this season?
Oh, 100% in the Champions League he's our top goal scorer, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, absolutely. He's absolutely, like, he's our first player, and do you know what, I was thinking about this, when he scored and it came up that he had scored in 6 consecutive Premier League starts. I had to think about it, and I didn't quite get it until they told me on Sky Sports that the last player to score in 6 consecutive starts for Chelsea was Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank in 2001. That's what an achievement that is. Scoring 4 goals away in the Champions League, right? That's something that only your Messis, Ronaldos and Lewandowskis do. And when they do it, they say, they should win a Ballon d'Or. What an absolutely brilliant set of goals he scored. The first goal, the touch with his right foot and then to bend it in the far corner, keeper had no chance. The second goal on his supposedly weaker foot. To have the delicacy of touch to lift that over the goalkeeper so perfectly. And then he scores a goal that reminded me of Didier Drogba's winner in the Champions League final, equaliser, I beg your pardon, in 2012 in the Champions League final against Bayern Munich. What a beautiful, it's a bit more central where it went in, but it was so similar in so many ways, the run and the header. And then to bury the penalty, it was just, it was absolutely fantastic, and it was just the perfect performance. And then to win the group, like you said, Keith, people was wondering if Frank may have the same mentality as you, as, is the Leeds game more important? And I think he showed that, maybe he did think the Leeds game. I think he kind of showed it the week before Tottenham as well, against Rennes, that the Premier League is his main focus, and I completely agree with that. But like I said, he's affected the DNA of the club so much so quickly that he can bring 10 players in. It's exactly the same, if not better.
Well, I think about it now, and yes, Seville, it was a makeshift squad, and even us was a makeshift squad. So take that as you would. But, and I have said this once or twice on the podcast, I know. For me, there's no reason why we can't go far in this competition. I think it is such an open season whereby anybody can win this. Madrid are not the Madrid of old. Barcelona are a shattered club.
Got beaten by Cadiz yesterday, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, Cadiz are 5th. I mean, they're having a good season, but Barca are 12 points off top or something.
Yes. Inter Milan are an unknown quandary. I mean, Real Madrid might even be knocked out.
Yes.
If they lose if they lose next week. So
Bayern Munich look like they can be.
Bayern Munich look a strong outfit. Dortmund look a strong outfit. It wouldn't surprise me if those two were actually in the final. But
PSG feel like it might be their season.
No, I disagree. I think PSG. They're just 2 players, Neymar and Mbappe, and teams last season.
It's kind of enough.
Well, Bayern showed last year that if you've got the right tools, you can beat them, and I just think
that's what I like about the Champions League this season, is that I think everyone is beatable.
PSG for me are not the complete side, and this is the problem where you are dominant in your own league for so many years, and when you're playing competitively against top sides, you come unstuck. Look at Celtic.
Well, yeah. Well, this is. Well,
I know it's different.
I was going to say Celtic are just. I was going to say, Celtic is. I appreciate totally what you're saying, but Celtic is a different thing because they're just really, really, really shit. I mean, it says it all that they dominated the league without Rangers in it all of them years, and in all the years that Rangers were out of the top division, Celtic won like 3 European games. Did they? I think did they only ever win 1 away game in Europe under Brendan Rodgers or something, including playing teams from Gibraltar where they're 42-year-old, and they played in, like, their maximum attendance at their stadium was like 287. Let's not get into fucking Celtic, but
no.
I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate like the model is like quite similar. I understand exactly what you mean, like that, just the dominance in their own league, and I think that, you know, Bayern Munich have been helped a lot by Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig and teams like that and stuff. I know the Germans don't particularly like them and stuff, but I think they have been helped by that. I think they've become a stronger outfit in Europe because of it. And I think that you have to look at Bayern Munich as the favourites, but everybody's beatable. It's the same as the Premier League this season. Everybody's beatable by everybody, and that's why it's so open, and that's why it's so entertaining and exciting at the minute. And I think that that's why that's given us this season under Lampard. We didn't necessarily expect to be the top of everything so soon. So I think this season it gives us the best opportunity to win things, and then moving forward when things start to stabilise again, hopefully we'll be in a position of like strength anyway, so it's all positive going forward. But
yes, so Warren, that's why I believe that there's no reason why we can't go far in this competition. But back to your point about the league, yes, we're top, we're delighted we're top, of course. Whether we will stay top by Sunday evening remains to be seen, and I said this to a few Chelsea supporters this morning on the phone, at this moment in time, it doesn't necessarily mean too much, but let's just enjoy it. Let's just enjoy the fact that Frank has gelled 11 players or 16 players into a squad that is able to compete week in, week out and playing the football that he wants to play. I mean, we'll touch on the Leeds game later on, but the Seville game in particular, how many teams do you know would play like that away from home in the Champions League against a side that is renowned for being tough to beat?
Mm-hmm.
And
play like a Premier League side, as Frank Lampard said. Well, the thing is with it, I mean, I said it on the podcast last week that I feel like we could make loads of changes and it would still be almost like a starting 11, and it sort of sounded a bit controversial at the time, but I think that it was kind of like proved in what he'd done. But with regards to saying it, I know what you mean about it doesn't mean anything now, because when you look back at the end of the season, if somebody else is top at the end of the season, it won't matter that Chelsea were top now. So I appreciate what you're saying, that it doesn't mean anything, but I think it does mean a lot. I think it means a lot for the confidence of the squad and what Frank's doing. I think it's a real statement that to be there at this stage of the season and not just after 2 or 3 games, we're not drifting away. We started off slowly and got stronger and stronger, as I kind of always said that we would. I just think that it's a real statement of intent, and I just think that it gives an air of confidence around the club that I haven't seen or felt for quite a long time now. And that carried over into the Leeds game, I think.
Yes.
I think it was our momentum. Although we played well against Leeds, I think that without being brilliant, the main reason for our good performance was just the momentum of keep winning and being unbeaten, and lots of players coming into the squad, and it didn't matter that, you know, who would start or who was on the bench or whatever. We was always just going to be confident and keep that momentum going.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I looked at after the Seville game, because every time there's a big win, you're thinking, okay, when's it going to stop?
Yeah.
When's it going to end? And against Leeds United, I know there was a little bit of just a tad little bit of a worry, especially when Leeds sort of went 1-0 up. But, you know, again, as we just said, winning the group is very significant. Let's just hope that the European gods smile upon Chelsea and give us something that we'll be looking forward to in the knockout rounds. Hopefully we won't play somebody like a Bayern.
I want Real Madrid. Well, Bayern are going to win their group, so we're not going to get Bayern. But
no, I'm talking to someone in regard someone like a Bayern.
Yeah, I would like to play Real Madrid. I'd like to get my own back on Barcelona. I always want the big games. I live for them. I live for Chelsea playing massive games.
No. Let's just get the
I don't want to play. Listen, I don't want to play Panathinaikos. I want to play Barcelona.
No, let's just get the team there first, and then we'll worry about who we're playing.
We're there. We're already there. We're there as group winners.
No, we're there now, but let's just get to the point where we are at that stage. One little note I would like to mention: good to see Gilmour back in the squad, and he came on for the last couple of minutes against Seville. Very nice to see him back.
Yes, I had a good sing song for him on the watch along.
And if you have missed that, please find us on YouTube, where we do have all our videos uploaded on our YouTube channel for that. But Krasnodar next week.
Yeah.
I believe it's Tuesday, isn't it? Krasnodar game?
Excuse me. Yes, it is on Tuesday.
It is next Tuesday?
6 p.m. So I will be doing a watch along. I've got quite a busy day before that, but so I'll probably be going live just sort of as we kick off, so to speak. But join us for that. Like I said, I've been really, really enjoying that. Looking forward to the Krasnodar game. Looking forward to seeing the players who are not immediately getting the opportunities, like you just mentioned there, Keith, like your Billy Gilmours, your Rudigers. I'd love to see Tomori come in the team. I'd like to see Emerson play again.
Tomori needs to play. Absolutely. Tomori needs to 100% play.
As Peliqueta should come back into the squad, I should imagine we'll see Jorginho. I should imagine Tammy will play. Hudson-Odoi will play. Really looking forward to the Krasnodar game, as I was obviously looking forward to the Leeds game yesterday. I mean, we'll probably move on to that now. And again...
Yes, let's move on to the Leeds game. Let's move on to it.
Yeah, and mention again, obviously, you'd have to start with our most dangerous player yesterday, that was Giroud. Was unlucky with a header, probably should have scored early on, which kind of ties in nicely to the fact that at the moment, you know, I know a few players are injured, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and you've got the likes of Ward-Prowse and people like that, but can anyone whip a corner in like fucking Mason Mount in a minute, or what? Because every time he whips a ball in, we should score.
Well, you mentioned Mason Mount but Reece James is...
Yeah, Reece James.
To cross.
Yeah.
He was outstanding last night. He was fantastic.
But our delivery from all over the pitch, the technique of the players to cross a ball is absolutely fantastic, and that's what players like Giroud thrive on. It's what Tammy needs to start thriving on. I look at other English strikers and I think how well Dominic Calvert-Lewin would do in this Chelsea team. Think of how well he could play in our team. But that's sort of like going off the topic of the fact that, like you said, Reece James, especially that delivery for Havertz in the second half. But every single time Mason Mount put the ball down for a corner, he actually hit the first man with his first corner, which I called on the watch along was annoying because we looked especially dangerous from corners. Then they put up the stat that we had scored double the amount of anyone else just before Zuma scored. But every single one, Giroud could have had a hat-trick from corners. The header wide, the one where Werner conspired against the laws of physics to miss twice.
And then the air turned blue in my house for that.
Yeah, and it's sloppy, unfocused, like I keep calling him at the minute. He just needs to. I think he just needs to mature a little bit. I think he's very young. I don't have any issue with him whatsoever as a player or his quality or his potential or anything like that whatsoever. But yeah, so Giroud could have had a hat trick plus his goal. Tammy looked hungry when he came on. Really disappointed to see Pulisic and Ziyech pull up. Not Pulisic, Ziyech and Silva. Ziyech and Silva Silva pull up towards the end. I think he would have come off if we would have had a substitution left. Oh no, we did have a substitution left, I think, and we still didn't.
No, we didn't.
Oh no, we didn't.
No,
we didn't. Yeah, we had. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So that's a little bit of a worry, but at least they've both got a week off now. So hopefully, at least one of them will recover. I thought Havertz is a bit in and out of games. He hasn't taken a game by the scruff of the neck. But then I wasn't necessarily expecting him to have yet. He's still it's not. You know, the way that Werner plays is perfect for the Premier League, which is why even though he's not playing his best, he's still being effective and being involved in a lot of things, and you can still see what's going on. Havertz is still maturing very much, that he's learning how to stamp his authority in the Premier League game, and it's only going to happen by him playing more and more and more. And we have to remember that even though we are top of the league and we have won our group in the Champions League after 5 games,
I think we have to remember that we are still in development, so we can't expect the end product all the time from everyone. Like, do you know what I mean? It's fantastic that it's happening for James and people like that, and Mount and whoever else. And Kante was brilliant again yesterday. And Mendy, although hesitant, and probably he will say himself his mistake for the goal was, brilliant and calm and solid for every other second of the game apart from that. So there was an individual mistake which we've been cutting out a lot more. There was loads of positives. I think Havertz deserves a lot more time. People need to really wait to see the best of him. But other than that, it was just brilliant all the way through the team. Again, Chilwell was excellent, and like I said, Kante was excellent. Kovacic didn't get involved in the game as much as I would have liked. Obviously, I really like Jorginho in there, don't I? So it's interesting he's not even in the Premier League squads. That's a bit of a interesting one. What do you make of that one, Keith?
Well, with Hudson-Odoi, I like him. I don't necessarily want him to go. He's not one of the players that I feel we should move on to bring players in. But at this moment in time, I don't have an issue with that and Frank did this last season. Pulisic didn't play a lot last season. At the start of the season, Pulisic did not play a lot. And Frank mentioned in an interview it was because he was protecting him, knowing that the season, knowing that he didn't have a pre-season, and knowing that he was going to be vital for the next few months afterwards. And I thought that was quite telling, because Frank doesn't seem the sort of guy that would do something for one specific player. He would have like a general thing in mind. So the fact that he's done that with Christian, I believe he's doing that with Callum, because again, they've not had a pre-season. Is Hudson-Odoi still sort of in the books on Lampard? Does Lampard like Hudson-Odoi? I think he does, because otherwise why would he play him in Champions League games? And Hudson-Odoi is producing in the Champions League games. So I don't think there's a disconnect between manager and player. In regards to who's in front of him, you've got the likes of Werner, Ziyech, Pulisic. We've just mentioned about squad depth. It's good to have these sort of options. And
the interesting thing is, I think a lot of his injury of coming back from that. But the point about Pulisic, I think, is a good one. I mean, he obviously had his fair amount of injuries, and like you say, he didn't start as much at the start of the season, knowing to be important in the second half of the season. But we have the opportunity now with the depth to be able to rotate the team a lot more, so they can feature in starting a lot more games, knowing that they're going to get rested later on in games. That's the interesting one that I find with Hudson-Odoi. I think a lot of it is just to do with his injury, to be fair. I think that if he still said that he's struggling to build the muscle around that area, and it's like such a bad injury that it can just take, a year of playing football again before you get back in your stride and stuff, because it was such a bad injury that he had. So I think, like you say, Frank's given him the time and the patience that he deserves and that he needs to get through this period of his career, and I think he's going to come out the other end a much better player for it, and I think he's going to become a better player for Frank for this as well. I think it's another tick in the box in the man management skills from Frank Lampard.
I think he'll start midweek.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
most definitely. Hudson-Odoi will start midweek.
I can't imagine a situation where Odoi and Tammy and Jorginho and Emerson and Azpilicueta and either or of Zuma, Christensen and Rudiger. I think Mendy will start as well. I think he'll see out the Champions League games. I think the Morecambe game is where we might see Kepa, Caballero or Cech. There'll be one of them. I think the Morecambe game is when Mendy will have a bit of a break from the team, maybe get a couple of days to go home if he's allowed or whatever. So, but I think that's the sort of, the Krasnodar game is going to be a very similar lineup to the Sevilla game, other than Tammy will probably be playing other than Giroud. But yeah, it was the Leeds game in general. It was interesting.
You mentioned the Krasnodar game, Warren. I did actually watch highlights of our Premier League 2 match against Leicester, and there were a couple of players in that squad that I'm not got a football manager brain on this because I know some people would sort of do it if they were playing that particular game, but I don't see any reason why we can't give some of these players a go. The likes of Henry Lawrence.
We could.
Lewis
I mean,
Bates.
the thing is, I mean, I think that a lot of them have an opportunity to make the squad, for sure. I think Frank will be thinking a little bit more about the Morecambe game because at the moment, because of our strength in depth, we are able to rotate and keep players fresh. But the way that we do that is by playing everybody in important games from midweek to weekend and stuff like that. So I think that Frank will see this as an opportunity to keep his team. I think he'll look at it as an opportunity to give people like Mount and Kante a complete rest and Silver and people like that. Obviously, people like that would have a complete rest. Maybe the squad from 12 to 18, so to speak, may have a few academy players in it for the match day experience, and obviously being able to make 5 subs and hopefully being able to win the game comfortably. A few of them could come on. Absolutely, I agree. But I think with regards to the starting lineup, it has to be, 8 or 9 of them have to be from that core 18, 19 players that we always use, just for the rhythm and the momentum. And if you start bringing in players like that,
I agree.
Yeah,
no,
I can
I
see your
agree.
point. I can see your point that it would be a fantastic opportunity for them, but you've also got to be careful that if they was to lose or have a bad game, it could be potentially damaging to them because they're quite young. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the squad's like. I think the starting lineup will be very similar to the Sevilla game, and yeah, absolutely. I think we'll see a few of the next crop of academy players on the bench. The ones that may take over from certain players. Your Kantes, your Jorginhos, your Silvers, and your people that are not 2021 from the academy. Players are going to need replacing in the next few years. So it'd be interesting to see the next crop for sure. Saw an old one yesterday scoring against us.
Yes, and it was a very good finish as well. It was a good win, and to see, I looked at the team lineups yesterday, and even before the game, I looked at the fact that the midfield three of Mount, Kante and Havertz was extremely strong. I did actually think Havertz had a bad game. Nothing worked for him. Basically, his passing didn't work. I thought his movement might be a bit harsh, but I thought was a bit lazy.
I know. Do you know what? I know exactly what you mean, because I was just about to say, I think the Leeds midfielders, I don't think it was necessarily that Havertz was lazy. I just think the Leeds midfielders outworked him.
Yes.
Because they do work extremely hard. I mean, Leeds are quite known for the first 70, 75 minutes until they get really tired out, that they work extremely hard. But yeah, he can come across as a bit lazy. I said before, he tries to be too relaxed. He tries to make he tries to make the game look easy rather than just playing his game sometimes. Which again I think is to do with maturity and learning the game. So but he certainly wasn't like one of our star performers. I totally agree.
But the one thing I would like to mention, I'm not a fan of Timo Werner on the right hand side.
No, I definitely prefer.
That looked a bit uncomfortable for me watching. I thought that Werner either play him on the left,
made a lot of goals coming over to the right, but always starting from the right is not his preferred position. I mean, he did set up Pulisic's goal, which shows that Pulisic, he's obviously plays well from the left, and Werner had a good chance made by Pulisic from the left-hand side? It's a beautiful ball with his left foot. So I think that it can work at times, but as a permanent fixture, going forward, then no, absolutely, I agree. Werner is much better from the left or up top. And I think he's just better from the left. Overall, it was a good game, though. It was, like I said to you before we came on air, that for the neutral, it was probably one of the most entertaining games. I think that Chelsea have played better.
I'd like to actually mention that, because that was a sort of game last night that I hated. Because, alright, Leeds went in front, and Leeds actually looked pretty good.
I was going to say, I was concerned when
Leeds
we were down.
That was really, really good when they were 1-0 up. And I did sort of think that if this was last season, we might have actually lost this game.
I think we would have, yeah.
And to see the character that Chelsea had to come back from it was fantastic. But the overall performance of the team, all right, once we got the second goal, it was a little bit better. But from 1-0 to Leeds to then 2-1 to Chelsea, I just thought it wasn't the best performance. Like I said, Havertz, I was disappointed with. Werner, it will come. Someone texted me to say that, his nickname should be Timo Torres, which I thought was, highly disrespectful. No. I thought there was no need for that.
It's highly disrespectful for Fernando Torres, because they clearly don't understand the game if they thought that Fernando Torres was that bad. But no, there's no comparison in the way that Werner is at the minute compared to it's not quite happening for Werner at the minute all the time, but he still got an assist yesterday. He still looked very still pulled Leeds around, and like you say, the first half I felt that going in 1-0 at half time was quite a fair reflection.
It was a fair reflection.
It was a very fair reflection.
I felt beforehand, for much of that first half, I believe we may have took Leeds a little bit lightly. Not the management, I'm talking about the players on the field. It was a case of, okay, Leeds, new team, what have they got? And they did sort of keep us quiet a lot. And
they worked very hard. I think that
we're going to talk about the crowd later, but I actually felt the crowd helped us last night.
Absolutely, the crowd helped us. They didn't really get on our backs, but they was always there, and we always knew it. I think that it had a more positive effect on us than it had on Leeds, for sure. I think that Frank probably had in his mind that going in 0-0 at half time or going in level at half time wouldn't be the end of the world, because Leeds would tire and we would have a much stronger, more positive second half, which is absolutely what happened. And then Leeds going 1-0 up and then really having the wind behind their backs and having their tails up and then really having something to defend and hold on to. I think that was obviously a hold in Frank's plan, but I think the plan was always to win the game in the second half. I think Chelsea are the top goal scorers in the second half this season in the Premier League. In fact, we're the top goal scorers outright anyway, but in the second half we've certainly scored more of our goals, and I think that was always the plan, to win the game in the second half. So, but you're right, it wasn't vintage, it wasn't the best performance, but it was certainly a game last season I would have fancied us to have lost when we went 1-0 down. And that's what we have to do. We have to reflect on this stage last season. I mean, maybe that's something I should have looked into. Maybe that's something I'll look into for the next podcast, because I should have done it for this one, is how many points we had at this stage last season, how many goals for, how many goals against, and how we was doing in the Champions League and stuff like that. And, it'd be an interesting comparison to see where we are a year on.
No, most definitely. But listen, we'll enjoy it.
Yes.
We're top.
Yes.
We'll see where it goes. Frank's doing a wonderful job.
Mm-hmm.
Players are on song. Let's enjoy it. Agree?
Absolutely. And I really, really am enjoying it. It was fantastic waking up this morning and putting on Match of the Day before we recorded the podcast on this Sunday morning. And, just seeing them talking about, good performances from Chelsea players and showing the league and showing us top of the league and top goal scorers and stuff. I am really enjoying it. I still expect, like you said, Keith, we're kind of expecting a dose of reality soon, and we've got some tough games coming up, Everton and West Ham and Arsenal and, and Aston Villa, and, we've got a tough period coming up, but we've got the strength in depth to do it. We can get through it, and if we can get through this period, then we can really, really look forward to next year, even more so than we are.
So that's the reviews. So we're on a positive. I'm now going to have a rant, and I'm a particular tweet that somebody brought to my attention this morning that I've taken umbrage with. Now, I'm not going to F and blind too much because I don't want your ears to bleed. But Warren, I received a message from a friend of mine who weren't taking the piss, but he thought that it would be something that I would bring it up on the podcast.
Yeah.
Particular tweets from Dan Levine. He goes on to say, a win over Leeds, top of the league, applause for taking the knee, and not a soul from Kent in the ground. Surely these things can't be related. Yeah. Now, I'm from Kent, And I didn't find that at all funny.
No, it's a bit of a...
I thought that was stupid.
It sounds a bit like attention seeking.
Yes. So, shall we, Warren, on behalf of the Blue Day podcast, just tell him how we feel?
Well, with regards to the tweet, I suppose immediately the first thing that should be mentioned, it was good to see the Chelsea fans applauding taking the knee. Aaron, actually, when I was doing the watch along, Aaron McGrath, one of our most loyal listeners since the very beginning, mentioned it was good to see us clapping a knee rather than booing it, which myself and Keith obviously both agree with.
Yes, we at the Blue Day podcast applaud that. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. But with regards to making comments about where people are from and everything, it's just, I don't understand why people think it's just silliness, really. It's ignorance, and it's just unintelligent, and it's attention seeking, and that's really all I think of it, really. It's one of them things that I suppose that our aim at the Blue Day podcast is to not sort of like categorise and like herd people into a particular thing, and it just seems like such an odd thing to say. It's not like he was saying, it wasn't like he was saying, there was no English players in the Europe 11 tonight and they played really, really well. What does that tell you? Like, do you know what I mean? He's not talking about a group of professionals. He's just talking about a group of people that happen to be from somewhere and trying to categorise them as some just ridiculous, isn't it? It's just idiotic.
So, Mr. Dan Levine, if this ever gets to you, and I hope it does for the sake of your benefit, I just want to say this. Fuck you, piece of shit.
I lived in Kent as well. It ain't all bad. It was better when I lived there, obviously.
By all means, you can come down. You don't have to be from the north for so long. You can, by all means, come down. But let's switch gears. Yes. We're going to have a little bit of a positive end to the show.
Yes.
For today, we've got Sean Wright-Phillips coming on the show in the next couple of weeks that we are excited about. We are in the midst of games on Wednesdays and Saturdays, Tuesdays and Sundays. So there'll be plenty of reviews, there'll be plenty of fun, but we also want your involvement. So if you wish to get in touch with us and air your views and your opinions on all things Chelsea, please get in touch with us at thebluedaypodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at The Blue Day Podcast. Find us on Facebook, The Blue Day Podcast. We've also got an Instagram account that we're actively uploading photos and videos. Excuse me, tongue-tied just a little bit there.
We're pretty excited. Yeah, we're sorry to cut you off there. We're pretty excited about the Instagram and the Twitter. They've both been getting quite a bit of traction, a few more followers and a lot more comments and stuff like that, which we've really, really appreciated reading. I know that myself and Keith, when we're busier during the week and we come back to our phones a few hours later and we see that we've got a lot of followers and stuff, we're sort of very, very close to the 200 mark follower-wise on Twitter now. So for you Twitter listeners, that are like new to the show, like welcome to everybody. There's a lot of our American fans on there. There's fans from Australia and Africa and India and all over the UK, all over Europe. So really excited to be reaching out to these people. Love to get your thoughts on the show, what you think about it, what it's like listening to. Obviously, a lot of your access to Chelsea is like Sky Sports and BT stuff and official Chelsea stuff. Like, let us know how we're doing just as fans and our opinions and how it differs and whether you enjoy it or not and what you would like to see on the show. Like, let us know what you think about having Sean Wright-Phillips on the show soon. We're going to have another announcement. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, give us your feedback. Get on YouTube and, get liking and subscribing to our videos and future content and stuff. We've got fantastic things on there. Obviously the Ron Chopper Harris interview, the interview with Mr. Chris Isaac from the Chelsea Pitch Owners Club, and like I said, all the future content as well. And all your support is greatly appreciated. It gives me and Keith a lot of motivation, and it also opens up the possibility of us expanding the channel and being able to provide even more better content in the future for you guys. So absolutely get around all of the social media. Keith puts up, he really does his research, and like today's put up the video from the 6-1 victory at the Lane, and we all know about that, don't we? So happy memories. Happy memories.
So, Warren, let's end it on a few plugs. Actually, let's end it on a few plugs. You mentioned about the Chelsea Pitch Owners Association. Yes. They are now taking pre-orders on selected signed shares. So if you want a share at Chelsea Pitch Owners, you can have it signed by a selected Chelsea player. I have mine from last year. I know that you're sort of intending to get one, but this is fantastic thing.
Absolutely,
for fans to buy and to
what a Christmas gift! What a Christmas gift for your loved ones. And if your loved ones are struggling to know what to get you, put it down on your Christmas wish list. It's absolutely fantastic. Like you said, Keith, I am going to be that's going to be one of my Christmas presents. From my partner, she's going to be getting me a Chelsea Pitch Owners share. What we're going to be looking at doing next year is probably putting our resources together here at the Blue Day Podcast and getting another share in the name of the Blue Day Podcast, maybe getting that presented on the pitch by a player or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. Something we're absolutely looking at doing. You should look into doing that. If you don't know about it, have a look online. But when we're allowed back to games and stuff and things are back to normality, you can have your share presented to you like over the tannoy system in front of the whole ground just before the game by a member of the matchday squad, and that is absolutely fantastic, and it's actually very, very reasonably priced as well, and it's not much more than paying to go to the game really. So for the experience that you're going to get, but the experience you're going to get is absolutely fantastic, and it supports the Chelsea Pitch Owners Club. For those of you that don't know about the Chelsea Pitch Owners Club, please find our episode with the chairman of the Chelsea Pitch Owners Club, Mr. Chris Isaac. That's on iTunes, YouTube. Find all the links on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as usual and everything. Get around that and support the Chelsea Pitch Owners Club. Because if you don't know what they do, once you hear about it, you'll want to support them.
Most definitely. I completely concur with that. So we will be uploading the link to our Facebook page again, just in case for those who have actually missed it.
Yes.
But yes, please, if you can, get involved in that. And furthermore, Warren, one last point before we go is lady by the name of Karen O'Neill is raising money to a young supporter by the name of Adam. They have a signed Timo Werner shirt, and it's on their Just Giving page. So if you wish to be entered into this sort of prize draw, so to speak, donate a minimum of £5 to the page. Your name will be entered into the draw. The draw closes on Monday, the 21st of December. More information myself and Warren will upload on the social media platforms. But as it's Christmas coming up, you've obviously this present for yourself. It could be a present for your loved ones, and it is for a charitable cause. So please get involved in it. We will be, like I said, we'll be uploading the page on Facebook, Instagram. Warren will obviously work his magic on Twitter. But yeah, Warren, this is something that sort of I'm particularly keen on because it's important to help out fellow Chelsea supporters, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I think absolutely. I think when it comes to obviously certain subjects, I think that the football community has to sort of come together. It's the kind of thing that, in the past there's been raffles and things to win to help fans of other clubs, and it's just pulled at my heartstrings, and I've donated. I've not wanted to win anything. I would have re-gifted it because obviously it was a piece of merchandise from a different club or whatever, but it was just the sentiment of the football community. But absolutely, as a Chelsea fan as well, but everybody have a look on there and check it out. It is a great cause. It's quite a powerful story as well. Like, do you know what I mean? If you read into it and stuff. So yeah, absolutely get around it. I know that I'm going to go on there and stick a cheeky £5 on there for a raffle ticket and see if I can win the shirt. And do you know what I mean? If I win the shirt, then maybe we could here at the Blue Day Podcast, we could raffle it off again and maybe raise some more money. So, get around it.
Definitely. So by all means, find us on the social media platforms. Keep the blue flag flying high. We'll let Harry J, the All-Stars, play us out. I said it right this week. I said it right this week. So, my fellow Chelsea supporters, stay safe and carefree.